All right, it's up and running, I think. Okay, so I like to do videos every once in a while. I just find that it's a better use of time to get the information out to staff instead of bringing them to a staff meeting and making them sit there and listen to me talk or get basic information. That's housekeeping. So what we did is we went through the packet of information that was shared with you guys last year, and a lot of things seemed like we weren't 100% sure if you got it on a yearly basis, so I just decided to either mention it in this video and include it as a PDF so you have access to it, and we'll fine-tune the process as we go through. This is the first year rolling out as a new administrator and a staff, and we'll have a better idea of how to organize the welcome back packet and what information you guys really need to start the year. But I wanted to make sure if it was something you're accustomed to getting that you always get it. So let's begin. The video is topics that are important, but not the most important to start the school year. Those topics are going to be covered at the meeting that we're going to have tomorrow. So I do highly recommend that you watch the video. In fact, I just recommend you listen to it, because watching me, and it's just a weird process as you're talking to a camera. Eyebrows are going in different places, glasses are shifting on you, and I try to adjust when I'm talking. It looks like I'm having a mini seizure, but just listen to it. You're going to be fine. You don't need to watch it. So the agenda is attached of the topics I'm going to cover, and it's more of a reminder of talking points from me. Let's begin. Okay. All right. So the school calendar is in your folder. I do like to put everything into the Outlook for myself because I live and breathe off of this thing. So it will be in there, and some items I'm probably going to put Grissom staff, so it's going to sync with your calendar. I don't know if you guys usually do that or not, but I live and breathe off the calendar and the Outlook and the technical tool of using it. So expect those coming to you, and add them to your calendar or not, but that's just my way of organizing my life. Board policy, it is online if you guys need to look anything up. I am going to remind staff, as I always do every year since I've been an administrator, regardless of the building I'm in, is the fundraising policy that's online. It is attached to the email. You also have to do the online application process through Document Depot. I'm a bit of a stickler for this because there is big rules and regulations and tracking of funds when it comes to schools, and it's one policy that I definitely make sure that we follow properly. So please read the policy if you're doing any fundraisers and follow the proper steps. Okay. A reminder for staff to reset their phones, especially for the ones that have brand new classrooms. I've only changed one room. I don't know if any rooms were changed prior to me getting here, but a reminder, you need to reset it in terms of your voice as a greeting for people when they call. Communication, family resource assistants. We do have 2 in the building. Kalita Canoe is going to be with us on Wednesdays all day long, and then Nada will be here on Fridays from 8:30 to 10. We did change their location. Last year they were in the it was the room, looked like a storage closet for all of the Saturday school events, and they were at a little corner spot, and it just felt too much like a closet. So we've moved them out of there, and we moved them into the adjacent small classroom next to the LATs. So if you need to find Kalita or Nada, they'll be in there on Fridays and Wednesday mornings. Daily bulletin, Tammy's going to continue the same process that you guys had going here all these years. There's going to be one addition to it. We're going to add staff absences to it. Instead of printing it up and putting it in the staff lounge, it will be part of the daily bulletin that gets mailed out. If there's something that you guys are like, I'd like it added to the daily bulletin, talk to Tammy. She's very flexible, but I told her to kind of create her own idea of how she wants to communicate with the staff. So reach out to Tammy if there's something you want to add to the daily bulletin. Morning announcements are going to be done by myself and Jody. Same process of sharing information. So if you want anything to get out that day to the staff, email it to both of us. We're going to recognize our students and our staff and their birthdays, and if there's anything that we need to highlight in terms of recognitions from students or athletic events, please let us know, and we'll definitely pass that along. Language line. I included the flyer into your folder. The code is on here. I suggest you put this someplace nearby. Our population of the number of EL we have, it's probably something you guys use on a regular basis. So do put it somewhere nearby so you can have access to it. I do plan on creating weekly newsletters for parents. I have this program called S'mores. It's a popular app that a lot of administrators and probably even classroom teachers use for newsletters. I did purchase the upgraded version that allows it to be translated to 70 different languages. It also has an analytical feature that's going to track to see how many times it's opened and how many times the translation feature is used, so I know whether or not it was a worthwhile thing. But those will be mailed out to parents on Fridays. Yeah, so if there's anything you want me to include in the newsletter, just email me and we'll add it to it. I do plan on sending memos to staff on Fridays as well. The memos are going to be focused on 3 areas. 1 is instruction. 2 is highlighting anything that Jody or I see from class visits that we want to highlight as, a great strategy, or we want to recognize something that's going on. And the 3rd one is going to be updates on Jody's and my calendar for the following week. I know specifically I get pulled out as an administrator often to attend certain meetings, so there'll be a portion there of, when I'm in the building, when I'm not in the building, just because I want to keep everybody in the loop so they know what's going on. Purchasing items. All purchasing goes through Tammy Lewandowski, my secretary in the main office. Things need to be approved before you submit a receipt. We're working with a budget that's kind of limited. A lot of stuff was already predetermined before I got here in terms of what has been in the SIP plan approval for that budget or in the Title I budget. So everything needs to go through me before we get approved for it. But the receipts and all purchasing orders are going to go through Tammy, just so you know. As a first-year principal, figuring out how to manage the budget is one of the challenges for a new principal. So I'm going to be very mindful of how things are spent and probably a little bit more diligent about paying attention to that than maybe you might be accustomed to. It's just part of the learning process for myself. So don't take it as me micromanaging. It's just me making sure that we stay within the parameters of what we've got budgeted for this year. And some of it was already predetermined before I got here. Coverage and ASAP. Subs are at a premium again this year, not just in Warren Con, not just at Grissom, but throughout the whole state. I mean, it's been all over the news. We're having a hard time finding subs. So we're in the process of trying to look for some building subs. If you know of somebody, please pass their name and number on and we'll give them a call and see if they're interested in it. Having said that, you guys are a seasoned staff. You guys know you need to use ASAP to report any absences. Emergencies do arise, though, on spur of the moment. You might be at work and you might get a phone call, or you might be on to work, or you might be running late due to traffic or some sort of home emergency prior to leaving. Give us a heads up. Send a text to Jody and myself and to Amy Kovacs, the AP for the AP secretary. She is now overseeing subs, and we'll make sure that there's coverage in classes. So there's been a switch in that. It used to be the principal secretary, now it's the AP secretary. So make sure you send a quick text message to the 3 of us because we want to make sure that classes are covered and students are under supervision. CALPA, I'm sure you've caught on that CALPA is not available on the district website. There's a new program coming soon, and central office will provide that information as it comes along. Until then, there's probably going to be sign-in sheets. Please make sure that you do sign in. I want you guys to get credit for being at meetings that you're at, so be diligent about that. Professional dress and Spirit Fridays. Professional dress. It was interesting because during my one-on-one meetings, this topic came up by quite a few staff members wanting to know what my opinion was about professional dress. From what I'm understanding, you guys are a very seasoned staff. I feel like as a seasoned staff member, you know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. Am I a stickler to micromanage when people wear jeans? I'm going to tell you, no. I'm a former science teacher and I ran multiple organizations at a school. I know certain days you have to dress certain way because things are going on. All I ask is that you guys dress appropriately, dress professionally. We all know that students and parents respond to us differently when we're dressed professionally, and it kind of sets a tone of expectation. So I trust you guys to use your judgment in that. All right, so just wanted to mention that because I know it was brought up. Spirit Fridays, I want to do Spirit Fridays, which I'm looking for some teachers that are interested in teaming up with me or even spearheading it or just taking over it completely. Just to get some spirit going, we can have our Spirit Pride t-shirts, we can have our Grissom t-shirts, sports team t-shirts, college t-shirts, luau t-shirts, any kind of ideas. I'm open to it, but I'd like to get some sort of fun activity on Fridays where we can kind of just show some school spirit and just some, some togetherness for ourselves and for the kids. So if you're interested, email me. You know, willing to look for somebody who's going to partner up with me or somebody who wants to spearhead the whole thing. So I'm open. It's just something fun for us to do, and we can come up with different ideas, even if it's like, I don't know, maybe there'll be prizes. So if you're interested, let me know. Halls. This is what happens when you put two women in charge of a building. Jody and I walked around and we're like, this looks old. This has got to go. This doesn't even have Grissom's name on it. So we removed quite a few things from the halls, specifically on that brick wall when you enter through the main. And we're looking for ideas. So throwing this out to you guys as a staff, if you guys have got an idea of what would be something cool, something that would be attractive to our students. Want something modern and something that's inviting for the kids. Of course, there's always budget constraints, but I'm willing to look at ideas, whether it's we go to boosters, we look at grants, we look at community. Let's get some ideas going. Let's throw some ideas out there of what would be awesome on that brick wall, and then we can figure out the cost later and how we're gonna deal with it. But let's update something if we can. So if you got an idea about what we can do with the brick wall, if you are an artistic person and you've got some ideas, pass it on to Jody and myself, because we would like to do something special on that brick wall. Field trips. The instructional notes was in the folder of what to share with you guys. So I PDF'd it and attached it to the email. I just want to let you guys know that we're short on bus drivers as well. So Transportation Department is limiting the availability of when buses can be used for field trips. Right now they're saying from 9 to 2. That doesn't mean they can't accommodate an earlier field trip or a later one, but you're going to have to call directly to transportation and talk to them to see what they can do. But any request for transportations that go through Document Depot is from 9 to 2. There will be no transportation requests approved if they are on count day. Our two count days for this school year are October 2nd and February 12th, so no trips at all on those 2 days. And then a reminder that the transportation requests are in Document Depot. If you submit a transportation request in Document Depot, or let's say you submit anything right now in Document Depot, print request, overage, any type of receipt, and you're under the assumption it's going to come to me, please give me a heads up. When I was at Butcher last year, sometimes it took a couple of phone calls to make sure that everything was routed to me properly. So if you submit something, just send me a quick email, Liz. I just put something in the Document Depot that needs your approval. I'll go look for it. If I can't find it, I'll call central office to the IT department and find out where the glitch is, because I don't want things to get backlogged where you're thinking you're submitting it to me, but if I don't know it's submitted or if it's going the Joe Conal route or somewhere else, we want to make sure we get that fixed. So if you start submitting stuff in Document Depot, please give me a heads up. Lesson plans, it's your responsibility to submit them. If they're online, that's a digital submission, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Just so you guys know, I do look at lesson plans. I don't do it every single week. More so is when I do walkthroughs and formal observations, I will log on to your website and just take a look to see what your plans were. I'm very cognizant of what it's like to be a teacher, and that lesson plans are a suggestion for that week. So I'm not nitpicky if it's a day ahead, a day behind, a couple of days behind, because I know how teaching goes. It is a suggestive outline of what your plan is, and it changes day to day, changes moment to moment, changes hour to hour. But I do look for it, and I use my professional judgment. The only time I think I would ever call anybody out is like I've seen lesson plans that were outdated by 2 years, which is an issue, and I've seen lesson plans that didn't even match up what was going on in the class within like chapters, which was an issue. So I do look at them, but yeah, just so you know, I do look at them. There is no structure designed from the district of how they want them submitted. Just have something posted online so I can get an idea of what you plan on covering. Jody and I will be meeting on a regular basis to discuss students, staff, building issues, and one of the staff things on the agenda list is always going to be how our evaluations are going, and one of the parts of evaluation is lesson plans, so it will be brought up in our conversation as an administrative team. Okay? Gradebook. The gradebook policy is attached. Basically, I attached a PDF, which is the course catalog for middle school, and at the end of it, it describes the grading policy for middle school. I'm assuming all of you guys know it. If you don't, you've got an access to it. If you have any questions about the gradebook, come see me. I did supervise gradebooks and Power School for the last handful of years as an administrator, so I know a lot about it. And if there's something I can't solve, I will speed dial Barb Johnson, and she's usually very good about solving everything about gradebooks and Power School. Open house, save the date, Tuesday, October 11th is our open house. The time slot is from 6 to 8 p.m. All right, so put that in your calendar. Please make sure you're available. If there's a scheduling conflict, you need to email me what the issue is, and then I'll follow up with you after that. But please email me all scheduling conflicts. But the expectation is the staff will be there for September 11th from 6 to 8. The assessment calendar, it is on the agenda. Gives you all the date ranges for the NWA, the WIDA, the MSTEP, PSAT, and of course it is the very next day, or the very day that we arrive back from spring break, which is brilliant planning from the state. The district is aware of it, and we're looking at what our options are. But for now, we just need to be aware that it's the day we return from spring break, which is going to be challenging. I do want to bring your attention to speaking to the students about taking the test seriously, reading the questions, and pacing themselves where they're actually engaged and doing it appropriately. Because the NWA program has this feature called Student Test Engagement, which means that if they notice that a student is answering questions too quickly, the program is assuming that they are randomly guessing, so the test will be flagged and the scores will be disqualified. So do speak to your students about taking the test properly, seriously, and pacing themselves. When you're monitoring the test, if you notice anything that seems unusual, that a kid is flipping through questions quickly, you may want to have a conversation with them, and also let me know as well, and Jody, and we will follow up with the student, because they need to know that state and local assessments of the NWA, WIDA, and MSTEP and PSAT have to be taken seriously. So this is something we all have to send the message to kids, that they need to take the testing seriously. Monthly staff recognition. This one. Once you guys have decided who your building reps are, I am asking that I team up with them for us to create a method to recognize staff that we work with, from custodians, clerical, parapros, teachers, everyone in the building. We cannot do this job alone. We rely on each other, and every single month we notice people that kind of step up and they really help us out. So I'd like to come up with a way that we can recognize each other and celebrate it. So head union building rep, follow up with me on this one. I would like for us to team up and do some sort of recognition and just celebrate the fact that we are working together and helping each other out. All right, so head building union rep, please follow up with me. There's going to be a training that both Jody and I will attend at the ISD. It is a PLC, Professional Development for Administrators. We will be going together. We have requested administrative support from one of our feeder high schools. So Sterling Heights High School will send one of their assistant principals here. Once I know which one, I'll let you guys know. But I want to throw this out there. If there are any teachers that are interested in stepping up as well that day and being in an administrative role and teaming up with our guest administrator from Sterling, it's a good way to get an idea of what this end of the job looks like and what it's like to manage a building for the day. I know a few people have spoken that they have been interested in administration as a possible future goal. So if this is you, if you're interested, let me know. It is all dependent on available subs that day. But I think it's a very good way to get some experience and just to give you a better idea of whether or not it's something you'd like to do, because a lot of the minutiae is just in running a building and responding to emergencies as they happen. All right, so if you're interested, please email me, and we'll look into getting you a sub and coverage for that day. It's going to actually be 3 days, and I will send those out in the Friday memos of when they're occurring, but they're spread out throughout the school year. All right, updates on certain programs. Score to Success. It is our Oakland University Med Student Tutoring Program that occurs on Fridays. Jen Myers oversees it. We don't have a calendar yet. We haven't identified students yet. All we've done is held a meeting with the supervisor for the program at Oakland University, and we gave them the release forms for them to be able to work with our students. So we're waiting to hear from them, find out how many student tutors they have, and then we have run the report of which students will qualify for it, and as soon as the kids get here in the month of September, I'll start meeting with them, and just so you guys know, they'll be in the building on Fridays working with our students. Blessings in a Backpack is going to be running again this year. Same method as last year. For those of you that are new to the building, the 1 or 2 of you, such as myself, basically we have a list of students that get a little backpack or a baggie filled with food for the week. And then on Fridays, they're going to be dismissed from their 6 hours early to come to the cafeteria. They get their bags, and that's pretty much how it works. We haven't run the report to figure out which students are identified yet, and as soon as we get more information, we will send that out to you guys. Lunch programs, Taste of Success, the Title I program, and the Homework Club, which is the program that the LATs run. Those will be running again this year. I'm going to ask the staff that are involved with them at our first staff meeting if they are willing to share out a brief description of how these programs are going to run, A, for myself, and B, for the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 new people that we have on staff. And if there's anything that's going to change, I would like for them to share it out so everybody's up to date on what those 2 lunch programs are going to look like. Next program, Where Everybody Belongs, Web. Great addition to Grissom Middle School, and I got a chance to see them in action at the beginning of this week. Our 8th grade web leaders did a fantastic job, and the web advisors, they too, they rolled with the punches and got a small group of 8th graders trained to be able to transition over 90% of our 6th graders that showed up that day. The first week of school, for those of you that are new, which is only a handful of you, these web leaders will be wearing a red shirt. They'll also be wearing a lanyard that identifies them as web, and they'll be out in the hallways helping students find their way around, opening up lockers, answering any questions for our 6th graders or for our new principals that might not know where a certain class is. Just saying, it could happen. So great program. Little side note, I'm always passionate about transition programs. It was one of the programs I started and ran at Sterling for years, their freshman mentor program. I'm a firm believer in having strong transition programs. It helps students that are new to schools adjust. High schools do them, colleges do them, and it's great to see that we have one here at the middle school. And I'm excited to see what the rest of the year, what they have planned, and how the program is going to get better each and every single year, because they do. As you go through it, you learn a lot. The key, though, is that staff that are involved, the 6th grade teachers that are involved, if they notice that there is some addition or something that's missing, just communicate it to the advisors, because it's important that the program gets stronger. Our kids need it, and it was just great to see. Fabulous job by the counselors and by Tracy and our 8th grade leaders. So, great program. Grizzly Den and restorative practice. It was fascinating during my one-on-one meetings. This was the one topic with the most mixed reviews. Either staff loved it and think it's fantastic, or staff are just not sure about it, or they're frustrated with it, and yeah, a lot of mixed reviews, which is not surprising. Where I come from previously, Sterling Heights High School, we too did restorative practice, and it too had mixed reviews. A benefit that you guys have that we didn't have over there is the Grizzly Den. You have a unique space for restorative practice exercises, which I think is fantastic. Another huge benefit that you guys have is an administrator that is as thoroughly trained in it as Jody. And her and I have spoken extensively over the last couple of weeks about the mixed reviews. Because a lot of effort has gone in on her part to establish it and to get people trained, and has done book studies. So when you hear mixed reviews, you always have to take it in and just kind of reflect on it. And, basically the overall messages that we're getting is that we need to do some work in communicating to the staff more thoroughly in terms of what it is, training more staff on it. I highly recommend, if there's a staff member that needs some assistance on how to run a restorative circle or how to best use the Grizzly Den, to reach out to Jody. I know I'm going to sit in there a few times when she does them. I want to see it in practice. I've used restorative practice techniques as an AP. I have not done a restorative circle, so I'm really intrigued to see how it's going to go. A lot of positive comments were made about the restorative circle and the power of the impact that it had in creating a more positive classroom community for teachers that utilized it. So I'm a firm believer in it. The old days of assistant principals being the hammer are long gone. And let's be honest, it's a lot harder to be a chisel than a hammer. It takes a lot more skill, a lot more passion, and a lot more consideration for your students to work with them than it is to just mass suspend everyone. So it's a process. Everybody has to learn how to utilize it and to assess it to see whether it's working or not. But it's a good tool. It's a good tool to use. What else can I say about it? I mean, I'm a believer in restorative practice. It is not going anywhere. The more you learn about it, the better it's going to be. It is definitely a tool that will help you build a stronger community in your classroom and in your building. And it just naturally falls into place with the PBIS, with the web. You guys have got all these great programs, and restorative practice is one of them. I know Jody's going to do a second book study for this year, and if you're interested in it, you should reach out to her. There's a lot of positives that are going on to it. Having said all that, some of the feedback that I got back from staff is that they didn't feel like they were supported on certain things when they had classroom discipline issues. You need to come and talk to me and Jody about it. That's the last thing that either one of us want, is for a staff member to feel like they're not supported, because the goal is to support you as much as possible. So come talk to us. I don't want people to feel like they're not being supported if there's a disciplinary issue. And sometimes that support from us may actually be advice on how some classroom management techniques can be improved. And you have to know that that's done for the betterment of the whole situation. And everybody has something that they can learn in terms of classroom management. But restorative practice is a great thing. The Grizzly Den is a huge asset to this building, and I can't wait to see it in action. All right, MTSS, the meeting dates are on the agenda. The 4 dates are already out. I heard that was an issue last year. You guys didn't have the dates ahead of time. God willing, we have no snow days, and those dates don't change, but we'll see how it goes, because it is Michigan, and the Farmer's Almanac is already predicting a very severe winter. So you got the 4 dates. This will be an area of focus for me, because it was a universal theme that I got from the staff, that this was one of the issues in terms of the challenges that they had to report of an area that we could improve upon. So I'm going to focus on it, but it too is new to me. I come from the high school secondary. We do not have much MTSS experience at the high school level, so it's going to be a learning process for me throughout the whole year. I've already arranged to meet with Annette and Jennifer from Central Office, to meet with them on a regular basis. I also have meetings assigned with principals from other middle schools to see their MTS process. The best way for me to learn about this is to go see what it's all about at other schools. And we're not going to copy it. We're going to create what works best for us. But it's going to be a process for me. When I say I'm going to focus on it, that doesn't mean I'm going to have all the answers with the very first meeting. We're going to figure it out together. We're going to learn about it. But it will be an area of focus for me, because I heard from the staff that it is the area that had you most frustrated. So I'm going to do the best that I can. And if you've got input and how we can improve it, please share it with me. I really do welcome it, because as I said, it's a new thing for me as well. Saturday school is running again this year. I've already met with Father John, and the rooms that will be in use are attached as a PDF. The dates as well are attached to that same Excel file. So just so you know, I want to remind you guys, if there's something in your room that you definitely don't want to be handled, touched, lock it up, put it away someplace secure. There are kids that come in, and we know even with our own kids, you do the best you can to control what they do, but they're still kids. They're probably going to touch something you don't want them to touch. Having talked to Father John and Mrs. Catula that runs with the program, they're very cognizant of the fact that it is truly a gift that they get to use this building, and they will do everything they can to make sure that the classroom looks like it does after it is done being used. But if there's anything you definitely don't want touched, recommend you put it away, because it's hard enough to manage your classroom with you in it, let alone somebody else in there. So Saturday school, it's happening again. All right. Any issues come up, please let me know, and I'll communicate it with Father John and Mrs. Catula about it. But review the rooms, and if your room is one of them, make sure you have your items secure. All right, the boosters. The info sheet is in your file. The dates are in there as well. It's basically, they meet the second Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. in the Media Center. And we're going to be running all of our fundraisers through them this year for the sole fact that funding for schools has changed quite again, and it's just easier if boosters do all of the fundraising, and then they will make their donations to us, or we can do a request for funding through them, and they can pay for something specifically. But all fundraisers are going to go through boosters this year. Year of review and evaluation of programs. So that last topic on the agenda, basically that is, I'm going to spend the year looking at all these programs, because what I've noticed already within the first month of being here is that our budget is very small. We have only a handful of Schedule Bs that are available to us. SIP only pays for certain things. Title I only pays for certain things. A great allocation that we have, a great tool that we have in terms of how we service our kids is the staff, and where we put you guys to actually work with students. So this year is going to be like a year of evaluating and looking at all the programs, and I'll have conversations with you. Jody will be having conversations with you. We'll be having administrator, debriefings of what we've learned, but we need to evaluate which programs are getting the most bang for the buck, and which ones are servicing the most students, and where we're putting our resources at. And those resources are funding and staff. All right, so if you run a program, I might be asking you for some data. I might be asking you to monitor some things. I'll be checking in with you, because as the year progresses, we have to start making some decisions as it goes on. We have to make a decision early on as well. I'm just going to state this in the video, and we'll talk more about it probably at one of our first staff meetings. We have 3 Schedule Bs. One is Green School, one is Yearbook, and the other one is Student Council. We currently don't have student council advisors, so that Schedule B is basically called the student activity one, and we get to use it in a fashion of any student activity we want. So in a few weeks when we have our staff meeting, we're going to talk about what's the best way to use it. Do we do a student council again, even though it's very difficult to get students to meet, from what I'm understanding, and to organize things, or do we want to invest it in other programs that service a larger portion of our students, such as web? It's just an idea. We're open to ideas. I just want to look at everything that we can utilize that's going to maximize the impact that we have with kids. So I'm just dropping that little tidbit of information. We'll talk more about it in a couple of weeks. Curriculum updates. The program Schoology online, which you just hit the waffle on PowerSchool, takes you to Schoology. You go to the curriculum library, and you've got all your resources that are on there. If you don't know how to get to it, talk to me. I'll show you how to get to it. Social Studies is having curriculum updates this year because they've got new standards. ELA Writing Celebration is April 23rd. It's going to be at the PAC this year. I did include a PDF for you to review. They've changed up a few things, and one of the cool things they do now is they've got a hashtag Why I Write. So it's a little bit more of a modern twist. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But save that date, and we'll go from there. All right, so that's everything on the video agenda. I know, longer than it should be, but I didn't want to have you guys sitting inside the media center listening to all that. For most of you, it's just review. And if there's anything you guys have got questions, come see me, and we'll figure it out together. All right? Thank you for listening to this, and I apologize for those of you that had to watch it and dealt with the twitches. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. If you got any questions, come see me or Jody.